They found his teeth before they found his name. In the alley behind St. Apollonia's, where whispers die under cobblestones slick with rain, two priests stood silently, staring at the crimson splash that painted the holy walls. The night air was thick with incense and rot. A man's body, what was left of it, had been stuffed inside a discarded confession booth, eyes gouged, rosary strangling his neck. His right hand was missing. Police chalked it up to another gang vendetta. But Father Luca knew better. He recognized the ring still clinging to the severed finger inside the booth. It belonged to banker Silvano Grimaldi, missing for weeks, rumored to have fled with Vatican funds. Luca crossed himself with trembling hands. "They've broken the seal," he whispered. That seal wasn't of confession. It was of silence, greed, and blood. Across the Tiber, a black sedan crawled past the papal gardens. Inside, a girl with cold eyes dialed a number and said, "Phase 1's done. The teeth are planted." Somewhere deep in the Roman catacombs, a lock clicked open. Grimaldi was never supposed to die, not yet. He was leverage, a ledger with a pulse. But someone cashed out early. In a marble chamber under Vatican Square, Don Alfredo Conti read the news headline in silence. Vatican banker found dismembered. His fingers, thick and wrinkled, crushed the paper into a fist. Across the room, a boy no older than 20 played piano, notes sharp and sour. "Too early," Alfredo muttered. It wasn't time. His consigliere, a lean ghost-eyed man named Pietro, stepped forward. "Phase 2 proceeds regardless." Alfredo's reply was a whisper. "Make them bleed slower." Of them, mass bells rang. Below, a gun was being unwrapped in velvet by holy hands. Father Luca didn't sleep that night. He wandered the chapel alone, flickering candles casting distorted halos over bleeding statues. He knew what Grimaldi's death meant. The seal was broken. The rules, written in whispers, enforced in shadows, were crumbling. In the sacristy, he pulled down an old wooden box wrapped in red cord. Inside lay a revolver, wrapped in cloth bearing the emblem of the Holy See. He hadn't touched it in 18 years. "Forgive me," he whispered. Somewhere, someone turned off the chapel's lights. He didn't flinch. In a crumbling tenement 2 blocks from the Vatican, a former Vatican accountant named Dario knelt over a floor safe. He wore pajamas, sweat trailing down his spine. Sirens passed outside but didn't stop. He opened the safe, documents, foreign bonds, and one photo. A boy beside Pope Clement. His son. His insurance. He grabbed the bonds and burned the photo. The flames curled around the pontiff's smile. "I'm sorry, Leo," Dario whispered. The door creaked. Dario turned. A figure in robes stood at the threshold. "He said you might run," the figure said. Then raised a silenced pistol. The shot was silent. The fire wasn't. As Dario's body crumpled, the flames jumped to the curtains, then the ceiling. Within seconds, the room was an inferno. The figure in robes walked calmly past the blaze, eyes reflecting the firelight. On the wall, a rosary melted like wax. In the alley below, a homeless girl looked up just as the window burst in flame. She didn't scream. She just ran. And from the shadows behind her, another figure emerged, dialing a number. "Cleanup's done. Make sure the priest finds the envelope," he said. The phone clicked shut. Somewhere nearby, church bells tolled. Leo Grimaldi didn't know his father was dead, yet. At 19, he was 3 weeks into basic training with the Italian Carabinieri, a golden boy with Vatican connections and a quiet rage behind his eyes. On the shooting range, his rounds hit center mass every time. But when the call came, he stopped mid-trigger pull. A priest, Father Angelo, had come to see him. "It's your father, Leo," the old man said, his voice catching. Leo didn't speak. Didn't blink. He just lowered the gun and walked. In the chapel barracks, Angelo handed him an envelope sealed with red wax and the insignia of the Holy See. Inside, a single Polaroid, his father's ring on a severed finger, resting on bloodied wood. No words. No warning. Just a message. Leo looked up, jaw tight. "Who gave you this?" he asked. Angela whispered. "They didn't leave a name, just a rosary, burned black." Leo rode the train back to Rome in silence, eyes locked on the blurred countryside outside. The envelope burned in his coat pocket like a curse. His thoughts spiraled. His father's last words, the broken promises, the arguments about family business. Silvano had wanted Leo clean, untouched by the Vatican's shadow games. Now he was ash in a box. At Termini station, Leo stepped onto the platform under acid yellow lights. No one greeted him, but a folded paper tucked into his jacket pocket hadn't been there before. One word written in looping script, Purgatorio. He scanned the crowd. Faces everywhere. Too many suits. Too many eyes. And then he saw her again. The woman from the funeral, black coat, crimson scarf. She didn't look back. She just walked, vanishing into the steam of the outbound train. He followed her. Through streets soaked in moonlight and menace, past shuttered vendors and sleeping angels carved into stone. She didn't run. She didn't need to. She led him to a crumbling building near the Tiber, old bricks swallowed by ivy and rot. Inside, the smell of incense and gun oil. A chapel repurposed. Candles flickered beneath murals of saints with burned-out eyes. She turned. "You're his son," she said. "He tried to run." Leo didn't reply. "They'll come for you now. Not for revenge, for silence." She handed him a vial of holy water and a black folder. Inside, names, dates, routes. "Your father's ledger," she said. "This is what got him killed." Her voice softened. "If you don't disappear, you'll end up a sermon with no audience." But Leo's hands were already closing the folder. "I'm not going anywhere." Back in Vatican City, Cardinal Moretti lit a Cuban cigar in his gold-trimmed study. The room smelled of power, aged wood, tobacco, and old secrets. Across from him sat Pietro, Don Alfredo's consigliere, his face unreadable. "The boy has the ledger," Moretti said. "And the girl is back." Pietro nodded. "We underestimated her." The cardinal exhaled, smoke curling like scripture. "He won't run," Pietro added. "He's his father's son." Moretti smiled thinly. "Then he'll die like him." He turned toward the window, eyes fixed on the dome of St. Peter's. "Call the archivist. Tell him to prepare the Judas file." Behind them, a shadow moved across the marble floor, another player entering the game. Leo walked the Tiber Bridge alone that night, folder under his arm, crucifix glinting at his chest. The city pulsed below, ancient and indifferent. He opened the folder again. Names leapt out, bankers, bishops, even politicians. Transfers routed through a bank called San Leone, hidden within a Vatican charity fund. Offshore accounts, blood deals, blessings bought and sold. At the bottom, one name circled in red. Moretti. Leo clenched his jaw. His father hadn't been running. He had been trying to blow the whole cathedral apart. And now the detonator was in Leo's hands. From the shadows, the red scarf woman watched. Her voice echoed across the bridge. "Now you know why they'll kill you." Leo didn't sleep. He copied the names and accounts onto paper, then burned the folder in an oil drum behind the chapel. The smoke rose like prayers turned to ash. At dawn he boarded a tram toward Trastevere, hunting a name from the list, Dominic Ferrara, former Vatican security, now off-grid. As the tram rattled through the cobbled streets, Leo noticed a man 3 rows back. Clean-cut, beige coat, reading a paper too still. The tram stopped. Leo didn't. He dove through the rear door and vanished into an alley. The man followed, fast. But Leo was ready. A brick shattered the pursuer's jaw, sending him to the ground. The ID badge that slipped from his coat read, Archivio Segreto Vaticano. Vatican Secret Archives. They weren't just watching. They were hunting. Dominic Ferrara lived above a butcher shop, behind 2 locked doors and a loaded shotgun. He opened the door, only after seeing Leo's crucifix through the peephole. "You're Grimaldi's boy," he muttered. Inside, the walls were plastered with surveillance photos, Vatican blueprints, and names marked in red. "Your father sent me his last confession," Dominic said, placing a microcassette on the table. The tape hissed, then Silvano's voice. "If this reaches Leo, I'm already dead." Leo froze. His father's voice was calm, resigned. He spoke of bribes, death warrants, secret fund transfers. "Moretti is the gatekeeper, but Conti, he's the devil behind the door." Dominic's eyes met Leo's. "You sure you want this war?" Leo nodded. It started the night they took his hand. Pope Clement XIII sat in silence as Cardinal Moretti poured the wine. The Pope, frail and blind in one eye, looked at nothing in particular. "I hear whispers of ghosts," he said. "Whispers with teeth." Moretti's hands never trembled. "Ghosts serve the living," he replied. A moment passed. "And the boy?" Clement asked. "He's been found," Moretti answered, "but not stopped." Clement exhaled. "Then stop him. But make it quiet. The church doesn't bury scandals, it forgets them." As the Pope sipped, Pietro stepped from the shadows and nodded. Elsewhere, men were mobilizing. Archivists with guns, priests with silencers, monks who never prayed. They called it Sanctum Protocol. And once triggered, no one left Vatican soil alive. Leo and Dominic moved fast. First to a lawyer's office tied to San Leone, then to a vault beneath a charity school. Each name from the ledger brought another corpse. Bankers poisoned, priests transferred, accountants missing. Every page was blood-soaked. In a crumbling crypt near the basilica, they found it. The conduit, a series of forged baptism records that masked international wire transfers. Billions flowed through fake charities. Orphans who never existed. Hospitals that never healed. As Dominic photographed the evidence, Leo found a name scrawled in Latin. Iudicii Manus. The hand of judgment. "It's not just money," Leo said. "It's doctrine." Dominic looked up. "It's war theology." And behind them, the soft click of a hammer pulling back. The shot rang out but missed. Dominic tackled the shooter, a young priest, eyes wild, shaking with fear. They wrestled on the crypt floor until Leo pried the gun away. The priest sobbed. "You don't understand. It's prophecy. They said he would return." He stared at Leo like he'd seen a ghost. Dominic searched the boy's collar. Inside, a slip of parchment inked with symbols. "That's not scripture," Dominic muttered. Leo read the Latin. Dies irae. Day of wrath. "This isn't just cover-up," he said. "It's a cult." The priest laughed, weeping. "The blood opens the vault. Your blood, Leo." Dominic stood. "We've got to burn it all." Leo looked down at the symbols and whispered, "Not yet. First we make them bleed." Dominic and Leo fled through the catacombs beneath Trastevere, their breath white in the cold silence. The priest's words echoed. "The blood opens the vault." Dominic's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. A voice whispered, "They know your route. They set it up." Before Dominic could reply, the line went dead. They surfaced through a cemetery wall, stones weeping with moss. A shot cracked. Dominic fell. Blood spread across his chest like a red stole. Leo dragged him behind a mausoleum, pressing the wound. "It's a chest hit," Dominic gasped. "You've got to finish this." Leo's voice broke. "I'm not leaving you." Dominic coughed blood. "This isn't about your father anymore." Sirens wailed in the distance. Leo's hands trembled, but he picked up the gun. He found her in the crypt of Santa Maria della Scala. The woman in the red scarf. She was waiting. "They shot Dominic," Leo said. She didn't flinch. "I told you to disappear. Who's Iudicii Manus?" he asked. Her eyes shifted. "I was," she said. Leo blinked. You were what? She stepped forward. I founded it. A long time ago. Before your father joined us. Before he betrayed us. The silence cracked like stone. He was supposed to protect the vault, not threaten it. He was the leak. Leo's world collapsed inward. No. She nodded. He stole the ledger. I ordered the kill. It wasn't supposed to go like that. Her voice cracked for the first time. But you, I never meant for you to be pulled in. Leo stepped back, fury and heartbreak colliding. You lit the match. She handed him a brass key. The vault's beneath the Vatican Observatory. Use this to open the chamber. It holds everything. Documents, DNA records, photos, proof. Leo's hands shook as he took it. You lied to me, he said. I protected you. You were a variable, she whispered. But you became a reckoning. Then she turned and vanished into the shadowed tunnel. Leo stood alone, heart pounding. The truth wasn't black or white, it was blood red. His father had played both sides. Betrayer and victim. Martyr and thief. And now Leo held the blade of the truth, knowing that no matter which way it fell, it would cut someone he once loved. Inside the Vatican Observatory, Leo moved like a ghost. He passed rooms of telescopes, ancient manuscripts and stargazing priests who looked through him. In a locked sub-basement, he found it, a reinforced steel door bearing the seal of Saint Damasus. He inserted the key. The lock clicked like the end of a prayer. The chamber opened slowly. Cold air escaped. Inside, a circular archive lined with red velvet drawers and relic cases. In the center, a single desk. On it lay a folder marked Judas File. Leo opened it. First page, his father's Vatican ID. Second page, a photo of Leo, age 12. Third page, a kill order. Target activated upon paternal termination. His knees buckled. They had marked him since childhood. Leo walked out of the observatory different. The key still in his pocket, the folder strapped to his chest. The Vatican bells rang but felt hollow. Across the plaza, Cardinal Moretti waited by a fountain, flanked by silent guards. So, he said, you've seen it. Leo nodded. I'm not my father, he said. No, Moretti agreed. You're worse, you care. Leo stepped closer. I have one demand, one trade. He held up the Judas File. You walk away. From me. From the girl. From this. Moretti smiled. Or I give this to every paper in Europe. Moretti turned and walked. Then you'll burn with us. Leo whispered to the wind. At least I'll burn the right church. And he vanished into the crowd. The Judas File now rested in a safe house tucked between two wine shops in Monte. Leo sat in the dark, watching the walls breathe in candlelight. Across from him sat Father Angelo, the same priest who had delivered the ring. You knew, Leo said. Angelo didn't deny it. Your father saved my life once, but he also funded death. And you stayed silent. Leo asked. I was part of it, Angelo whispered. We all were. The Vatican Bank isn't a sanctuary, it's a syndicate. Leo leaned forward. Then help me end it. Angelo hesitated, then placed a single golden coin on the table. The Pope's seal, he said. It opens the lower vault. But only with blood. Leo took the coin. Whose blood? Angelo closed his eyes. Yours. Outside, sirens began to howl. At midnight, Leo stood outside the Vatican Bank's restricted wing. The coin glinted in his palm. Security cameras blinked, but no one stopped him. The door was already open. Inside, rows of gilded drawers, reliquaries, and ledgers sat untouched for decades. He pressed the coin into a ceremonial indentation on the far wall. The stone shook, then parted. A second chamber opened, circular, cold, ancient. In the center, a steel altar, and beside it, a biometric scanner. He placed his hand on the panel. Nothing. Then he remembered. Blood opens the vault. With gritted teeth, He cut his palm with a blade from his belt and pressed it again. The altar hissed, unlocking. Beneath it, documents, microfilms, and a flash drive labeled Iudicii. The final evidence. Cardinal Moretti was already waiting outside. "You broke in," he said calmly. "You opened the vault." Leo nodded, blood dripping from his hand. "It's over. You still think this is about truth?" Moretti sneered. "This is about survival. Faith survives when secrets stay buried." He reached into his coat and pulled a gun. "You were marked since birth." "Then I should have died a long time ago," Leo snapped, drawing his own pistol. They stood frozen beneath the shadow of St. Peter's dome. Then, a shot cracked. But it wasn't Leo who fired, it was the woman in the red scarf. From the colonnade above, her rifle smoked. Moretti staggered back, blood blooming like a crimson vestment. Leo caught him as he fell. "Who are you really?" Moretti choked. Leo whispered, "Your reckoning." The woman joined him, moments later, rifle slung behind her. "He would have killed you," she said. "So you saved me?" Leo asked. "No," she replied. "I saved the mission." She handed him a black USB drive, the Iudicii file. "Send this to every outlet. Church, government, banks, it'll all fall." Leo stared at the drive. "And you?" She stepped back into the shadows. "I was never here." Sirens closed in from all sides. Leo looked toward the dome, then to the sky. Somewhere above, bells rang for morning mass. "This is for you, Dad," he whispered, and ran. Through alleys, across bridges, vaulting over fences, he disappeared into Rome like a ghost reborn with fire. That afternoon, news broke across Europe. A coordinated media leak. Vatican offshore accounts. Money laundered through fake charities. Political bribes. Assassinations ordered through scripture. The name Grimaldi appeared in every headline, but not as a criminal. As a whistleblower. Leo's voice, distorted and hidden, echoed across TV screens. "My father died trying to reveal this. I won't let them bury him again." In private quarters across Rome, powerful men wept, packed, or loaded weapons. Some vanished. Others were found face down in fountains. Cardinal Moretti's death was ruled a heart attack. Pope Clement never appeared again. And the Vatican Bank? Closed indefinitely, for audit. But the vault wasn't empty. Leo kept a copy. Because silence once broken must keep bleeding. The Vatican's response was surgical. A press conference. A tragic misunderstanding. Blame directed at rogue elements. San Leone was a ghost institution, one bishop declared. Unrecognized by the Holy See. But, behind locked doors, the church bled. Archives were burned. Names erased. Priests reassigned to desolate posts. The red scarf woman, real name never revealed, was found dead in a river near Marseille. Official cause. Suicide. Unofficial. A sealed report labeled internal correction. Leo watched the news from a dim bar in Istanbul, hood up, face reflected in amber glass. "They'll never admit it," the bartender muttered beside him. Leo replied, "They don't have to. They just have to fear the next leak." He paid in cash and left. The bartender found a Vatican coin on the counter. Dominic survived, barely. Now hidden in a remote monastery in the Alps, he walked with a cane and a ghost in his lungs. The monks called him Il Penitente. He never spoke. He just copied texts, prayed, and stared out the window at the falling snow. One morning, a sealed envelope arrived by courier. No return address. Inside, a single photo of Leo, standing on a rooftop in Hong Kong, middle finger up toward a passing drone. Dominic smiled for the first time in months. He burned the photo after memorizing it. "Stay gone, kid," he murmured. "You've already done enough damage." Outside, the wind howled like a final benediction. Rome healed, but unevenly. Faithful returned, lighting candles in silence. But the eyes of the statues seemed more hollow now. Cardinal Moretti's replacement gave sermons about cleansing and renewal, avoiding every name tied to the scandal. But those who knew, really knew, watched closely. A new group emerged online, nameless, faceless, sharing files, leaks, documents. Lux Tenebris they called themselves, light in darkness. Some said Leo was behind it. Others said he was dead. But the truth? He was neither. He was watching, guiding the fire without touching the flame. And when a file marked Purgatorio 2 leaked onto the dark web, the Vatican's firewalls crashed. Silence wasn't safe anymore. In a villa once owned by the Grimaldi family, now abandoned and overgrown, a boy arrived. Not Leah, but a child, no older than 12. He wore a messenger's jacket and carried a package addressed only with the symbol of a bleeding key. Inside, a flash drive, a coin, and a photo of Silvano holding infant Leo. A note: guard the flame until it's time. The boy sat in the dust and cried, though he didn't know why. Somewhere far away, Leo stood on a cargo ship's deck, sea wind in his face, eyes forward. He wasn't running. He was spreading. Secrets didn't die. They infected. And truth? It had found new blood. Leo's face had vanished from databases. His fingerprints were burned from records. Passport history erased. But he existed, in the fear of bishops who flinched at every drone, in vaults sealed tighter than ever, in servers humming with encrypted truths. Somewhere in the South Pacific, on a rusting ship wired with solar panels and satellite arrays, Leo listened to Gregorian chants remixed into code. The world thought he was dead. That was the idea. But ghosts don't die. They haunt. As the sun rose over the horizon, Leo scrawled a final message on the hull with chalk. Confessio est arma. Confession is a weapon. He smiled. The tide was coming in. Years passed. The world moved on. The Vatican survived, rebuilt, spun new myths. Tourists snapped photos under gilded ceilings, unaware of the rot once hidden in their shadows. But beneath the Sistine Chapel, a chamber now remained permanently sealed. They called it the Room of Judgment. No one admitted its existence. No one dared enter. Except one man. Old, faceless to records. A janitor sweeping the halls after midnight. He moved past Swiss guards who barely noticed him. Inside that chamber he replaced a candle. Just one. In the flicker of light, a symbol was visible on the wall. Iudicii Manus. The hand of judgment. The old man whispered, still watching. Then he left. By morning, the candle was gone, and so was he. But the flame had been real. A bishop in São Paulo was found dead with a coin lodged in his throat. In Hong Kong, a banker leapt from a rooftop moments before federal agents raided his office. In Washington, a senator resigned after an anonymous file was sent to every journalist in the city. Each incident bore no connection. Officially. But the media whispered one name, Lux Tenebris. A new video surfaced on the dark web, a hooded figure in candlelight reading from Revelation. The voice was digitized, but the cadence was familiar. Leo's. They thought confession was silence, the voice said. But confession is fire, and fire spreads. The screen cut to black. Below it, a single phrase glowing in red. More to come. Somewhere in Mexico, a woman with a red scarf tended to an orphanage built from Vatican reparations. Officially, she died in Marseille. But children there called her Santa de la Sombra, the Saint of Shadows. She never talked about Rome. Never mentioned Leo. But once a year she lit a candle at the edge of the courtyard and whispered a name, Silvano. The older kids asked why she cried. She'd say because some truths cost more than they give. Then she'd smile, hug them, and teach them how to encrypt files. Outside the gates, two men in suits waited in a black car. She saw them. They saw her. And no one moved. Because not all saints forgive. And not all shadows fade. Dominic died in spring. No obituary. No grave. The monks placed his ashes beneath an unmarked tree. But before his death, he left a box, locked, untraceable, sent to an address in Italy. Inside, a handwritten journal, old Vatican blueprints, and a flash drive labeled Final Sermon. A note read, "For the next fool with fire in his eyes." Weeks later, a teenager in Milan broke into a church server and found the truth. Again. The cycle wasn't ending. It was rebirthing. Because the more they buried, the more seeds they planted. And Leo, wherever he was, watched the flames from afar. Not as a hero. Not as a villain. Just as a man who once chose to bleed so others wouldn't. On a forgotten island, under the ruins of an old mission, Leo stood barefoot in the surf. A boy now walked beside him, maybe 10, maybe 12. "Was it worth it?" the boy asked. Leo didn't answer. He just looked to the sea. "Are they gone?" the boy continued. Leo knelt, drew a symbol in the sand, the bleeding key. Some die, some hide, but power never vanishes. It just learns new prayers. The boy nodded like he understood. A distant thunder rolled across the water. Leo stood, wiped the sand clean with his foot. "Come on, time to teach you how to disappear." They walked inland, leaving no tracks. Behind them the waves erased everything. But for a moment, the symbol lingered.